Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. Let me start by apologizing for having to cancel last night's live stream. It's getting toward the end of the year, well, the end of the school year, so I am slammed, of course, trying to get everything in before the year ends. And I'm working on something else, which I think most of you guys will enjoy, and it should be coming out hopefully this Sunday or next Sunday, so keep your eye out for that. But an event that went live in the Armory that I was going to talk about on last night's, well, now canceled live stream, which I am planning on doing another live stream in the summer to make up for it, where it's going to be 4 hours of just community div time, so keep your eyes open for that as well. But anyway, the Armory Exchange went live in the Armory today, and this, for me, kind of solidifies what we've been talking about for the last couple of days and the changes that have been coming to the game. And this seems to be kind of Wargaming's, well, one of the couple of big changes that we've seen recently that Wargaming's been having to implement to correct their own actions. And if you've been watching the last couple of videos, we've been talking about currency inflation and resource inflation in game in the Where the Hell Did Free XP Ships Go video, or, why are free XP ships murdered video. We talked about how free XP was extremely inflated in recent years. How back, 3-4 years ago, a tier 9 free XP ship was around 750,000 free XP. Then they had to crank it up to 1 million because they started to add in these super economic booster flags where you could easily grind out 1 million or 2 free XP in really just a few weeks if you were really dedicated. And then they, introduced tier 10 free XP ships that were 2 million free XP, but again, with all the boosters they had added into the game, it wasn't really much of an issue at all. So they kind of phased them out for coal, and coal is a much more controllable resource by Wargaming because you can't earn coal. You have to, well, you can't earn it by performance in battle. You can earn it, but they can control how much you can earn through the missions that you have to do in order to get coal. And then we talked about, most recently in yesterday's video, these super container changes. And what was their reasoning for super containers being nerfed? Well, apparently we were getting far too many doubloons in the anniversary event. If you don't know, the anniversary event happens once a year, and for a while now, the rewards for going to battle with a tier 10 ship, you can get a super container. And of course, super containers give out things like doubloons and XP boosters and potentially premium ships and things like that. And if you look at the new super containers, doubloons are, well, completely gone now at this point. So, yeah. They nerfed super containers because we were getting too many doubloons. They say it was because of doubloon inflation. They got rid of free XP ships because of free XP inflation. And now, going live in the Armory is probably one of the biggest events they've released to combat this inflation. It is so funny. And this was mentioned in a comment yesterday, and I was thinking something along the same lines too. It's funny how inflation in the United States in real life is kind of on the precipice of just runaway inflation, alright? And now, in game, Wargaming is doing all this stuff to counter resource and doubloon inflation. They've done more than the U.S. government has to combat inflation. It's kind of funny if you think about it. So, the Armory Exchange. What is this event? Well, TLDR, if you have a lot of resources, you can exchange said resources for Armory vouchers, which you then can exchange for things like coal, free XP, Elite Commander XP, credits. You can even get some ships out of this event too. You can get the Tashkent 39, which is the new DD for 83 certificates, or whatever they're calling these things. The Gorizia for 103 Armory certificates, and the Hood for 115 Armory certificates. I think it's funny that the new ship is the cheapest one out of those three. Might say a little bit about that ship, but we'll take a look at that here. Armory vouchers, not certificates or whatever I call it. I mean, who knows? We have so many temporary resources and such in the game. So, like, the event itself isn't a terrible idea. And, like, if you are wargaming and you're trying to cull some of this excess resources that are sitting about on people's accounts, this is certainly a pretty harmless way to do it, because, in my opinion, the event in and of itself isn't a bad thing. And honestly, if you're going to try to combat inflation wargaming of your resources, why wouldn't you approach it like this in the first place, rather than doing things like completely reworking super containers? Like, I get that, again, like super containers, you said, there's too many doubloons being given out in the anniversary event. Like, okay, fine. Why not do this? Because, of course, players with tons of these resources sitting around, yeah, it would make sense that if you have all these resources sitting around and you aren't using them, you can get some pretty decent stuff out of this event. Coal. Again, coal is, like I said a little while ago, a thing that's pretty highly controlled by wargaming. You can get 1,000 of the 300 coal bundles here. So you can get a pretty darn decent bit of coal for, your excess free XP or Elite Commander XP or credits, although I don't think anyone really has an excess of credits that much anymore, given super ships and the economic rework and things like that. So the event in and of itself, I'm okay with. And I don't understand really what's going on in wargaming's mind, because, again, if you're trying to control runaway inflation in your game, or try and get ahead of runaway inflation of the resources and such, because you kind of screwed up in the past, why wouldn't you do more things like this and like the auction? Because the auction, again, has been quite good in my opinion. Again, allowing players to have excess of resources to throw them at things like coal, ships, commanders, cosmetic items that they don't have to screw everyone else over to get. This just makes a lot more sense in my mind. Again, it is confirmation of what we've been seeing here very recently, and it seems that wargaming has been hyper-aggressive trying to get out in front of it. And I will give them props, too. They could very easily, very, very easily raise the price on premium ships. But they haven't really. I mean, like, if you go look at the premium shop in-game right now, Tier 8 premiums are still around the same price. I mean, I know there's going to be someone saying, well, they have $80 premiums. Yes, well, those are Tier 9 premiums. Those have always been a lot. But premium ships, they're still, $48, $50. Older ones are a bit cheaper because they're older. But, I mean, like, if you think about, like, the cost of everything, not just in the United States, but around the world, prices have gone through the roof, and we've gotten, like, a $3 increase on premium ships. That's really not bad, in my opinion. Because, again, they could have easily just cranked these prices to the moon and have use the current financial situation of the world to justify that. And who knows, they might in the future, They might. I do think it's funner that the Graf Zeppelin's $56. That's like, what? I don't know, that's weird. Is it because it's a goofy carrier? Okay, whatever, wargaming. But again, across the board, for the most part, premium ships are still within like $2 or $3 of where they were when they were first introduced. Yeah, so I'll give them props there for that, because again, that could have been another thing that they could easily just cranked up trying to fight their own in-game inflation, but they're still around the same cost. So, yeah, it's just, okay, wargaming, why didn't you do more of this? It's such a simple thing, in my mind, to do more events like this. Because it's a good event. If you have a ton of unneeded resources, like if you are a guy that has a bunch of coal laying around, you never want to get a coal ship, but you need some more commander XP to train up your commanders. Or if you're a guy that you have all the 21-point commanders that you have, and you've got a ton of elite commander XP sitting around, but you really want the Pommern. Yeah, I think that's great that they have this event where you can exchange your unneeded resources for resources that you do need. Now, another important thing is that this is limited. If you have noticed on the clip that I threw up earlier, there's about 1,000 of each of the vouchers, so you can only do it to a certain extent. So I guess that they didn't want you, if you have a mountain, a literal mountain of coal or Commander XP, to exchange that for another literal mountain of coal free XP, whatever. So yeah, but again, I guess that's what wargaming is so fixated on right now, trying to combat currency inflation, resource inflation in game. Steel's about the only thing that really hasn't been inflated. Well, steel and coal really hasn't been inflated just yet, but again, those resources that wargaming can tightly control. Of course, there's the monetary angle as well, because of course, if you throw in some of your own money and throwing in doubloons, you can get these resources at a much better rate. So yeah, naturally, they're a company. They want money. They need money to operate, obviously. So yeah. So guys, let me know what you guys think about this event in the comments down below. Again, for me, it's pretty much hardcore confirms that wargaming is just doing their darndest to try and combat their own inflation that they ironically themselves have caused. It's funny how that works, and I'm not going to get into politics too much. Those comments are always fun. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, wonderful weekend. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. One of your 50,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. Again, hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.